What's up, everyone on YouTube and TikTok? Now, let's talk about this why Gen Z and millennials are just financially screwed. Now, before we go into all this video, why am I saying millennial Gen Z are behind the power curve? Well, there's a lot of reasons why.
Feeling the financial heat. First up, sky-high expectations. Social media paints a picture where everyone seems to own a mansion and vacation in Bali. It's hard not to feel left behind when your feed's a highlight reel of luxury. Then there's the financial literacy gap. Many of us didn't get the memo on budgeting or investing in school, leaving us to figure out money matters on the fly. Debt is another heavy hitter. Student loans and credit card balances can feel like carrying a backpack full of bricks uphill.
Well, let's address the common misconception of Gen Z and millennial are wasting money.
Millennials, we don't even make enough money to be able to save and invest. Even though we might have a desire, we understand how powerful time can be, we just don't have the income to make it happen.
$69,000 is the household income for millennials. It's close to $98,000 for all U.S. households. There are some
on previous purchase instead of saving. At the end of the day, majority of Gen Z and millennials aren't really wasting their money. There are some wasting it, but if you look at the chart right here, you see that the expense is higher now. And if you can keep looking at this, we're gonna start at this. This is the wage are outpacing inflation. Yes, some Gen Z and millennials waste money, but we are just not getting paid enough. If you just look at this, wage growth is down compared to inflation, and it's just not fair if we look at it that way. A house now is $500,000-$600,000. That used to be $200,000. And the inflation cost of houses and everything, that's just how it is. The food costs went up. All this issue is a problem. Now, if we go back and really look at it, the cost of housing, the cost of education, healthcare, compared to stagnated wages makes it harder to save. And I'm going to put the data so you can see it. This one's the housing, and you can see how the housing cost is outweighing cheaper. It got more expensive. So if you compare this to the stagnating wages, it makes sense why Gen Z and millennials are behind. Now, before boomers and Gen X get pissed off saying, oh, that's just, y'all just spending money on luxury goods or anything like that, let's talk about this. Luxuries are often mentally...
It's called doom spending.
Doom spending is like retail therapy with a fatalist twist. A lot of people feel hopeless or pessimistic about their financial futures, and that's manifesting in a lot of different ways.
Professor Wu's study found that those who doom spend or have fatalistic tendencies believe they have little or no control over their future.
Because even if I do save, I might still have financial difficulties in the future.
Instead of saving, many are splurging on luxury goods to soothe their economic despair. And while 27% of Americans of all ages admit to doom spending, the rates are even higher among Gen Z and millennials at 35 and 43% respectively.
You know, the millennials, sometimes they do spend money on luxury goods. So does Gen Z. But comparative waste spending that you could do back in the day, $200, $300, a flat screen TV, $600, your rent now costs way more than that. In some areas, rent could be $2,000. And if you have a family, you could be paying $3,000 a month for rent. That's just outrageous. And when I talk to the Generation X, they used to say, oh, I can find a rental property for $500 a month. Nowadays, you can't find anything less in Houston for $800 a month. That's $300 different, and wages did not keep up. Now, what other issues have millennial Gen Z have? Student debt, heavy-handed. And
I recently posted about the fact I'm 26 years old and I'm in $95,487.73 worth of debt, and I want to talk about it.
So sadly, this situation isn't that uncommon because despite what some people would have you believe, Gen Z and millennials were not stupid for going to college. I mean, since the 90s, over 60% of guidance counselors and teachers thought that every student should go to college. And so is it little wonder when people grow up hearing that you need to go to school, you need to go to college, you need to go to university, that they end up doing that?
this was an unforeseen burden. Parents told us to go to school and to take on this debt for education. Now, our parents didn't know that certain education is a waste of money. And that's not anyone's fault. We didn't know that. We just thought going to college would give us a better income. Now we know that certain degrees are worth more than other, like art history. You're not going to really find a job in art history. Philosophy majors, you're really not going to find a job in philosophy major. And this is the stuff that no one told us. And it caused us to go into bad debt, a lot of money into debt. And this is the issue. Gen Z millennials aren't terrible with money, but they're not the greatest. So before you blame it on Gen Z millennial, look at yourself and say, how much money did you waste to go to college? Because I know some Gen Xer, their whole college was only like $15,000. Compared to a Gen Z or millennial, it could be $40,000, $50,000 for their college. And they had to pay that on debt. And no one told us this stuff. No one gave us the financial education. And if you haven't seen it, here's the chart of the historical content of skyrocketing tuition fees and the shift from grant to loans. You notice that less grants are being granted, more loans are being given out, and who's suffering? Millennials and Gen Z. Not Gen X, it's not baby boomers, it's the people going to school now to try to better themselves. So yes, this shows that we have a lot of debt as millennial and Gen Zs, but it's because a lot of us went to school and put ourselves in this bad debt because no one taught us. Now, if you want to know what's the long-term impact on student loan payment and financial milestone like owning a home and retirement saving, I'm going to do the math. Let's say your payment a month is $600 to, $700 a month to go to your student loans to get it paid off. Now, let's say it took you 20 years to pay that off. And at the age of 30 to 60, this is how much money we are missing out. And here's the chart to show you that it's a lot of money. Millions of dollars just wasted for a school education instead of we could have invested. And this is the issue no one really wants to talk about. We got screwed over because no one taught us. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to tell you that school isn't for everyone. And yes, sometimes going to school will help you out, but majority of the time is a waste of money. Now, how can we get out of this situation? Well, we had to get more financially educated. Now, the other thing we have is gig economy gamble, the opportunity versus instability. Now, many Gen Z and millennial participate in the gig economy, and it's not always by choice.
What is the gig economy? The gig economy is where business and independent workers engage in short-term contracts or freelance work, as opposed to permanent employment.
Now, it used to be if a family had two incomes, they're fine. Their mom will go to work and the dad go to work, and they have enough money. Nowadays, your mom has to go to work, your dad has to go to work, your dad has to have two jobs to afford the lifestyle that they want to live. Now, at the end of the day, it counts what type of lifestyle. You can live off $100,000, but at the end of the day, if you want the house and you live the average American lifestyle, you're gonna need to make more than $100,000 just to get that car, get the big house, get multiple vehicles because you and your wife have to drive, the health insurance, your kids' stuff, your kids' education, your kids' extracurricular activities that all cost money. So, yes. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about is the idea that gig work inherit is more luxury and stable for the average person. At the end of the day, some of these gig extracurricular work, side hustles lose money. Because at the end of the day, not all side hustles are successful. Sometimes someone will think of an idea like, I want to open a food truck, but I want to make snow cone. They invested 10, 15,000 in a food truck and it flops. And that was their side hustle. That's just how it is. So gig economy does not mean that more people's bring in money. Yes, more people do bring in some money, but some people lose money on this. So you just need to understand. Now, the other issue is many gig roles has its financial problems, like lack of retirement fund, lack of health insurance. And this is the issue. You Uber Eats, Uber Drive for a gig economy. Guess what? They don't give you insurance. They don't give you traditional IRA. They don't give you health insurance. They don't give you retirement plans. They don't give you nothing. But people are doing that because it's portrayed as a way to be free. And this is some of the issues that's coming about, that they're not going to have retirement because they're making $50,000, $60,000 driving for Uber, and then they don't save anything. So these are the things that is happening to millennials and Gen Z. And the way to do that, get away from all this issue, is to go work a 9 to 5 and get insurance and retirement plan. Or you set up a LLC or a corporation, you drive for Uber, and you pay for health insurance and pay for a retirement plan like an IRA or a SEP. So there is a way around it, but no one's educating the younger generation. And that's why I'm bringing it up. If you are in one of these situations, you're in a gig economy, open up a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA and get yourself insurance, because one slip could put you in financial ruin if you are sick. Now, let's talk about adapting to the new reality that Gen Z and Millennial are actually more financial literate and creative than people give her credit for. Now, Millennial and Gen Zs are figuring out the finances, are starting to become financial advisors, and no one's giving them the credit for. And some of the innovating saving strategy is high yield savings account, budgeting apps, investment in fractional shares. And this is the stuff that happened during the Millennial and Gen Z timeframe. They didn't have fractional shares whenever boomers were starting to invest. Now they do, and it gave more people option to be able to invest. So, and the rise of financial independent or fire movement among the younger generation is a unique approach that people are doing. So more and more Gen Z millennials are finding about the fire movement, and they are taking the unique approach to retire early. So yes, Gen Z and millennials are starting to figure it out now, and it's going better. Now, let's talk about the future of wealth and re-imaging success. Now, the challenging matrix is to how to measure financial wealth, and doesn't actually apply to most of the economic reality. Now, why did I say this? It's because before you work 40, 50 years at a company and you can retire and they'll give you a pension plan, or you have a nice little retirement account. That's not the reality anymore. The reality is Social Security might not be for us. The 401k plan isn't for everyone because not all the company offers it. So there is now a movement for people who wants to retire early and figuring out what's the best for them. Everyone, Gen Z and millennials figured it out. You don't need $20-30 million to retire. And they're finding out the numbers and retiring early. I meet a lot of people who are actually starting to retire early and getting away from the regular 9 to 5 and just staying at home, relaxing, enjoying their life. Now, the growth of people in Gen Z Millennial has been great because the consumption has been changing. The work-life balance in younger generation has been greatly successful. Now it's not all about work. Now there's a big push for a normal work-life balance. And that's where people are getting success and wealth from. It's learning the great things like that. Now, here's a tailored, actionable reality that most Gen Z and millennials can do today that can get them a few $1,000,000 in retirement. Is to put away 10 or 15% into a 401k plan with low expenses and that at least outperform or perform similar to the S&P 500. And that's something every Gen Z millennial can do today. And the other actual thing that Gen Z millennial can do is to cut down on their daily expenses like lattes, avocado toast, or anything like that. Yes, a lot of people do spend money on this, and it's not a surprise. But at the end of the day, it's the cost of food that's went up. That's the problem. It's not really the avocado toast. So if you can save money by budgeting, go ahead and do that. Save yourself some money and invest it. And third is to enjoy your life. Life is short, and don't let anyone tell you that you are in the wrong if you are on a financial journey that's made for you. If you're investing, you're doing it right, you're staying out of debt, you're on the right path. Just because boomers, Gen X, or silent generation don't like what you're doing does not mean you're not financially in the right. Everyone has different financial journey, and yours is tailored for you. Maybe you have a few bad years because of all the debts, but once you get out of it and once you get it successful, you are going to be happy and enjoy your life. That's all I got for you.